Hey guys, what's up? My name is Farza, and today we're going to talk about something called while loops. So last video we talked about for loops, where basically it's a loop that works with this counter, right? Well, while loops are a little different because they don't work with a counter, because they don't necessarily know when to end, and they're always checking a conditional statement. And let me tell you what I mean right now. So let's think of an example where we could use a while loop. And the example I want to use is with tier. So in League of Legends, tier takes 750 stacks to fully stack, right? And then it's fully stacked? Sure. So let's make a loop that will sort of stack our tier. And we can see how it stacks in real time. Let's do that. So let's just, if you guys don't know what a tier is from League, tier takes 750 stacks. And it gives you like 4 stacks per ability or something like that. But let's just pretend like one ability equals 5 stacks. So you get 5 stacks every time you use an ability, right? Cool. So let's start our while loop. So the first thing we're going to do in our while loop is we want to declare how many stacks we have right now. Because before we even think about our while loop, we want to think about how many stacks we have right now. So right now we're going to have, let's declare it, we're going to call it current stacks. And we're going to have 0 stacks in the beginning, right? We always start at 0 stacks. Cool. So now let's start this stacking loop, and we're going to use a while loop. Let me write out the while loop for you guys. All right. So this conditional, by the way, this is plain English. I'm going to replace it with real code later, but just for understanding's sake. So basically, what happens here is we first check some conditional, and as long as that conditional is true, we're going to run whatever code is underneath this while loop. And let's just get right into it. I feel like if you guys see an example, like just a simple example right now, you understand it pretty quickly. So let's printf that I am stacking. I am stacking. Okay. And let's replace this with an actual conditional, right? So we want to stop this loop when we reach 750 stacks, right? So that means current stacks has to always be either equal to or smaller than 750. So this loop will terminate when this is either 750 or when this loop is not equal to or bigger than or smaller than 750. So if this is like 755, our loop's going to terminate right there. But at 750, we have the correct number of stacks. So our loop will this would be like the last iteration of our loop. Let me go back to current stacks. Okay, so very important thing to understand about while loops is that they need to end somewhere, right? So let's look at this program right here. Actually, let me quickly write out how while loop works. So first we're going to have the conditional, then we're going to run the code. So it is much fewer steps than a for loop. So first it checks the conditional, then it runs the code. So it's going to check if current stacks is smaller than 750, then it runs the code. And then it keeps on doing that over and over again until this conditional is not met. Do you see a problem here? Right now, the value of current stacks is never changing. It's always 0. So this will always evaluate to true. So we get caught up in something called an infinite loop. But I hope you guys see that, where this is pretty much 0 all the time, right? Because the value of it never changes. So this is always going to evaluate to true. And that's what an infinite loop is. Well, let's just run the program and you can see what I'm talking about. Am I missing something? Line 33. Oh, this thing. I was working on something there. Okay, let's run this code now. Alright, so it pretty much keeps on printing that I am stacking over and over and over again, and it's not stopping because it doesn't know when to stop. So we have to figure out a way for the value of current stacks to change so that our loop can actually stop somewhere. Let's figure that out right now. Okay, so we get 5 stacks per ability every time we use an ability, right? So let's work with that. So every time we stack, our current stacks is going to be how many stacks we already have plus 5. So So all this line does is it takes the current number of stacks we already have, adds 5 to it, and then makes that our current stacks. And by the way, if you guys don't know, in a program, whatever is to the right of the equal sign will always sort of work. Like we'll get the outcome before this thing. So this will actually happen before this happens. So first we add, and then we set everything equal to the current stacks. And that's why this works. So now, if you can see, current stacks is going to stop eventually, right? We're going to keep on adding 5 to it. So let's go through like a few iterations of it. So current stack starts at 0. 0 is smaller than 750. Print that I'm stacking. And then add. And then right now current stacks is 0, so add 5 to it. Now current stacks equals 5. Now we're going to go back to the conditional again. Now 5 is still smaller than 750. Print that we are stacking. And then set current stacks plus 5 equal to current stacks. So now current stacks is going to equal 10. Do you see how this is going to loop over and over again until we meet this condition where where we get 755? So like let's pretend like we're at the last iteration, right? Where current stacks equals 750. So over here, current stacks is going to equal 750. 750 plus 5 means current stacks is going to equal 755 stacks. And that's an impossible number of stacks for tier, right? Well, when we go back to conditional now, we're going to have 755 stacks. And the program's going to see that that's not true. And it's going to terminate right there. So it's going to ignore everything else, and it'll terminate right there. Let's see it in action. Ooh, actually, let me put a \n here. Remember last video I told you guys that it would just put an extra line in between our print statements? Alright, and you can see that it prints out that I'm stacking many times. But let's do something. Well, let's do a little bit more with this. Let's do one more thing with it. Let's keep track of how many stacks we have, and we can do that, right? Because we have this variable called current stacks, which keeps track of the number of stacks we have. So I'm stacking, and I have %d stacks, and I use %d because remember it's the conversion code for an integer variable. And what variable am I trying to get the value of? Well, I'm trying to get the value of current stacks. Oh, it's going a little long there. Okay, so I'm trying to get the value of current stacks here, and every iteration of the loop, right? So every time this loop runs, it's going to check the value of current stacks. And let's see what it gives us. So now you can see that we're checking how many stacks we have like in real time. Every time it's going to add 5 to it. And it prints out a new print statement every single time. And that's super cool. So yeah, while loops are pretty fun. They're usually used when you don't necessarily know when a condition is going to be met. But you have to always... A while loop can only work if you know that this will eventually be met. If this is never met, you're going to get caught up in an infinite loop, and your computer will be in massive pain. And that's not good. So yeah, I hope you guys liked this video, and I'll see you in the next one.